Welcome to AAMplify, a podcast series by the Association for Accounting Marketing. I'm Ian McManis, marketing specialist with Barnes Dennick, and I'm your host for today's session. Joining me today is Chuck Ludmer. Chuck is the Chief Marketing and Practice Development Officer at Cohn Reznick, a national accounting, tax, and business advisory firm out of New York City. Welcome, Chuck.
Thank you, Ian. Delighted to be here.
Today, we're going to be talking about sales collaboration innovation. Chuck, could you explain a little bit more about what this means to our listeners?
Well, Ian, this is a really interesting topic. It's a very timely topic. The playing field is really changing, and it's changing rapidly. Buyers are much more informed. Transparency is truly taking its toll in terms of the selling environment. The ability to find information, the ability to be engaged is making our marketplace much more informed. And as a result, the traditional model that many people are still relying on is falling short. As you look at the landscape, you can see that there are significant organizations that still have traditional models, and what's happening is the sales cycle is longer, the ability to connect and find opportunity is not as robust as other organizations. Now, on the other side, those that are really moving to the new model, which is really a digital-based model, is seeing major changes in the way that marketing and sales interacts, and that the traditional model is being challenged because marketing is developing techniques that is much more lead gen than brand, and that lead gen is a much more informed and warm and nurtured lead, and ultimately helping with the sales cycle.
Great. Yeah, so you mentioned more about this shift from a traditional model to a new model for sales collaboration innovation. Is this why it's become such a crucial topic for business developers and marketers today?
It is, because everybody's getting pressure on growth. Everybody's getting pressure in this economy to close more than they did last year. And the ability to drive leads that are warm, that are qualified in a way that we can shorten the sales cycle is very significant to business developers, no matter if they're the sales teams that are hired just to do sales, or partners and managers in our organizations that are charged with growth.
Very interesting. So I know that you started as an accountant. Could you share your experience and how you came into the role of Chief Marketing and Practice Development Officer at Cohn Reznick?
Well, this is only a 15 or 20-minute podcast, so I really can't go back that far. But I'll try not. There's a day when I did have hair, but when I started with the firm out of school, I was on the audit staff, and I had a great mentor looking at my career and said, if you want to learn about business, go into accounting, because you'll learn about a lot of different businesses. And I took that advice, but the reality is accounting wasn't my forte, debits and credits. But I love computers, I love systems, and I love business. And I had then the opportunity to move into our management consulting group. I actually was the first staff person hired for that group. And in working in the consulting group, I then, at the time, a lot of our work was IT audit, and I'm old enough now to say that I passed the inaugural CISA exam. And what that did, was give me the opportunity to understand how business operates, understand where problems exist in a business, and I was able to identify lots of opportunities for cross-selling that ended up allowing us to build our consulting group from, at the time, 3 people to within 4 years up to 25 people. And for a firm our size at that time, that was pretty monumental. I had a mentor in the firm that basically said, you're an okay accountant, you're a pretty good consultant, But what we really need now is someone to help us coordinate and build our practice development effort and build our business, because we were at risk to lose some very large accounts, and we wanted to make sure the firm could take a soft landing if some of those left. I then moved into this role, and that was some 30 years ago. I can look at everybody in the face and say it's been 30 years since I've had a billable hour, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. But the beauty of it is learning and understanding how business operates, and understanding what we do as an organization to bring real value, whether it's audit, tax, or consulting services, to the marketplace. And that was really the genesis of how I got into the practice development role. One thing I will note is that was 1986. In 1986, I believe we were about 180 people, maybe 200 people. Today we're 3,000. And what I'm bringing to the table these days is a perspective, because I've been with the firm now, it'll be 40 years since I interned. And I've been able to say that I worked for a local firm, a regional firm, a super regional firm, and now a national firm. So it's bringing some really interesting perspective to the table. And that first budget in '86, I think, was $230,000. Today, it's almost 100 times that, or it's more than 100 times that.
Wow, that's a pretty incredible journey. So, along the path, and now that you work for what you said, a national organization, what would you say your current roles and responsibilities are, and how has that kind of developed along the way?
Well, I have right now 3 main responsibilities. I serve, I've been a partner/principal since 1993. So I've had the opportunity to operate in an owner role, in this role for a number of years, which has really helped in how I can influence both partners, managers, and work in the marketplace. So I was appointed about 10 years ago as the, quote, chief marketing officer of the firm. At the time, we decided that it was important that the leader of marketing be a principal or partner. Up to that point, we had hired guns for the most part that were senior manager, director types. So I've been in the chief marketing role now for about 10 years. I also am the head of our national sales organization. We have a team throughout the country that are dedicated in the sales effort. And I was fortunate enough about 15 years ago to get involved in our international association, and I serve as the contact partner to Nexi International, which is currently the 10th largest accounting, tax, and advisory network in the world. I've had the good fortune since 2008 to chair and lead the marketing effort for Nexi worldwide. So it's I've got a pretty full plate.
Definitely. It sounds like it. So moving back onto the topic of sales collaboration, what would you say that your ideal goal is? Is there a particular process that you follow?
Well, where we are today is we're almost where I want to be. We're still in a transformational stage in moving from traditional to digital. So my goal is to make sure that we can optimize as a marketing team the migration from brand to lead gen, and that we figured out the right ways of creating campaigns and tactics and content that ultimately engages today's new buyer persona. 30 years ago when I started doing this, I could go into a room and business development was how well you knew the network locally and worked your COIs and worked your clients to get referrals. You still do that, but that is not where you're going to get real significant growth, because the next level of growth is going to come from that buyer that you engage digitally or you engage through all of our marketing processes. So the goal for me is to increase the amount of lead gen that's coming out of marketing to increase our opportunities in the marketplace.
Wow. Yeah. So in your firm, who's primarily responsible for driving innovation in sales? The accountants or the marketers, and why?
I think it's a shared responsibility, but in any organization as large as ours, there's different skill sets on either side of that coin. So there are partners that embrace innovation and change and are constantly challenging themselves for better ways to go into the market, communicate in the market, create ideas and value that separate our firm from others. And then there are marketeers that are at exceptional levels that are capable of looking at and doing the analytics that not only set a strategy, but know how to adjust strategy to get the best results.
So what do you find to be the most interesting aspect or part of that role?
I think the interesting aspect of the role is, number one, it's constantly changing. It never stays the same. An idea today is maybe outdated 2 weeks from now, but a great idea can spawn some incredible opportunity. And there's nothing better in a firm when you can see an idea, create content that differentiates the firm, engage in both a identified buyer as well as one fishing in the world of the web, and be able to convert that to opportunity that helps the firm grow. That's an exciting process.
Absolutely. Could you share a cool project or an experience that you've been working on recently with us?
Well, I would say, as I said, we're still in what I would call the middle of our transformative stage, and a lot of the technology is very cool and really exciting, and sometimes can be you've got to take it in stages in a way that you can master the crawl before you walk, before you run. But as we see that, for example, the automated marketing tool that are out there, whether it's Marketo or one of the others, being able to pull data from your website, pull it from your webinar software, pull it from your conference and attend data, integrate it with CRM or your customer experience platform. All of that, to me, and then homogenize it and score it and be able to deliver warm opportunities, to me, is an amazing feat, especially one that has its roots in a Rolodex as compared to Outlook.
Absolutely. Yeah.
For those watching under a certain age, the Rolodex was an archaic way of maintaining your contacts.
Thanks for the clarification. What's one thing that the marketers listening right now could do today to improve sales collaboration in their firms?
Well, number one is alignment. I don't care what the tool is that we're using, whether it's traditional or non-traditional. I think we tend to assume alignment. I think that there needs to be a lot of upfront planning and discussion as to who your target market is, what are the services that we're bringing to market, where are the triggers that exist in the market that would uncover opportunity, how do we speak to those problems, how do we show and demonstrate in the marketplace that we have the skills and the insight that's going to drive the solutions for those clients that ultimately will move them to make a decision and hire us.
That's fantastic advice. Thanks for that. I guess, is there anything else that you want to communicate to our listeners about sales collaboration, or what they could be doing?
Well, I'd want to just kind of summarize with 4 points that I've kind of made in answers to your questions. Number one, collaboration is rooted in alignment. And although, we use that word a lot, we want to collaborate on how we go to market. If we're not looking in the same direction and our site isn't at the right target, collaboration isn't going to be as effective as it could be. Secondly, innovation. innovation is a little esoteric. It means a lot of different things to different people. However, the one thing to understand is today's environment requires innovation. It requires the ability to challenge status quo. It requires the ability to know that when you innovated yesterday, your innovation is ongoing. It doesn't change. So, movement into using digital and web-based tools have incredible impact in the sales cycle and incredible impact in the cost to execute in that cycle. We actually, as a firm, and it was one of the stories of Accounting Today in the last year, we launched and built in our new offices in New York an innovation lab. And it's a most amazing piece of technology that sits in a room that is made for collaboration. And it is, one wall is completely digitized. It's tied to software that's in the cloud so that we can work and I guess the word is ideate. I'm saying it wrong, but in the room, we can look at business process. We can look at how we're approaching the way we're going to market and work together in a collaborative manner to find ways to do it more efficiently, more timely, more effectively, and find innovative ways to make that change. The other thing that I would say is that each organization needs to look, how is it migrating its marketing model from kind of that traditional brand and messaging to integrating that into today's platforms of digital approach into the marketplace. And third, you've got to have the right data analytics that allow you to analyze, assess, and then redeploy.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's fantastic. Thanks so much for sharing all of that with us, Chuck. I think that we covered a lot of great information on sales collaboration and why it's crucial for marketers to work together to develop strategies to achieve innovation. All right, well, this wraps up another episode of Amplify. Please watch for another podcast from the Association for Accounting Marketing next month. Our next podcast will feature Sean Smith talking about the marketing department from the future. Thanks again, and always remember to aim high.